Ladies and gentlemen, beloved ones, listen closely. They don't tell you this. No, they rarely speak of it what it really means to be chosen. They preach about favor, but not about the fire. They talk about the crown, but not the crushing. Let me tell you something: to be chosen is not to be celebrated, at least not at first. To be chosen is to be set apart, and being set apart often feels like being left behind. Chosen children don't walk the easy road, they walk the narrow one. They don't blend in, they stand out. And when you stand out, the world will try to sit you down. But hear me, chosen ones are not called for comfort. They are called for conquest. They don't tell you this about chosen children: being chosen isn't comfortable, it's costly. That's the part they leave out. Everyone wants the title, the spotlight, the recognition, but nobody talks about the process, the pain, the private sacrifices behind the scene. You see, when God places his hand on you, he doesn't just lift you up, he breaks you down. Not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like life hit you harder than it hits most people? Like every step forward came with a setback, every open door came with a battle, every victory came with a scar. That's not a sign you're weak. It's not bad luck. That's the weight of being chosen. And if you're feeling that weight, let me tell you, you're not cursed, you're called. They don't talk about how lonely it gets. Because when you're chosen, you don't get to follow the crowd. You don't get to do what everyone else is doing. God sets you apart, sometimes painfully so. You'll watch others be celebrated for doing less while you're criticized for doing more. You'll wonder why your path is steeper, why your process is longer, why your heart has to break to the level that it does. It's because your destiny demands depth, and depth doesn't come cheap. Let this hit you. Before David ever held a crown, he held rejection in his own home. Before Joseph stood in a palace, he sat in a pit. Before Jesus carried glory, he carried a cross. That's the pattern. That's the price. Chosen children are not crowned without cost. And here's the twist: people will admire the fruit but never understand the fight. They'll see the blessing and assume it came easy. They'll see your smile and never know the nights you cried yourself to sleep. But that's okay, because chosen children aren't chosen for approval. They're chosen for impact, for legacy, for something bigger than applause. Let me shake your spirit a little. You weren't picked to be popular. You were picked to be powerful. And power is forged in pressure. Diamonds aren't made in daylight. They're made in the dark, under weight, under heat. So if you're feeling the pressure, if you're walking through a season where you feel crushed, overlooked, or stretched, hold on. That's the shaping of a chosen one. Nobody told you it would cost this much. But if you could see what's on the other side, the lives you'll touch, the chains you'll break, the destiny you'll fulfill, you'd understand why the road is rough. Because what's in you is rare. And rare things are never treated casually. So don't quit. Don't bow. Don't let the cost scare you away from the call. Because even though they don't tell you this about chosen children, I will. It's worth it. Every tear, every test, every lonely night, it's building a legacy hell can't erase. Have you ever felt like you were on the outside looking in? Like you're in the room but not really part of it? Let me tell you something they don't say out loud. Isolation is not a punishment, it's a sign. A sign that you're not ordinary. A sign that heaven has marked you. When you're chosen, you're often set apart long before you're set ahead. And that separation? It feels like abandonment at first. You'll question your worth, your direction, even your sanity. But the truth is, God hides his greatest weapons until the time is right. He hides them in the wilderness, in the shadows, in the why me. You'll look around and wonder why no one gets you, why you don't quite fit, why you feel this fire inside to do something different, something bigger, something bold, but no one around you seems to feel it too. That's not a mistake. That's evidence that you're chosen. Chosen people are cut differently. What feeds others doesn't satisfy you. What excites the world doesn't move you. And that disconnection, that's not random, it's divine. Think about this. The eagle doesn't soar in flocks. It flies alone higher than the rest. So if you're feeling the sting of loneliness, the ache of being misunderstood, take heart. You're not cursed. You're being carved into something sharp, something strong. Isolation is heaven's way of pulling you away so you can hear what no one else hears. So you can be trusted with what no one else can carry. And now hear this. The calling comes before the crowd. Always. Chosen children are called in the dark long before the light ever finds them. God speaks to them in silence, in the hidden places, in the moments nobody sees. The mistake so many make is thinking silence means absent. But that silence? That's sacred ground. That's where instructions are whispered, where vision is planted, where character is formed. Moses heard the call in the wilderness. David was anointed in a field while forgotten by his family. Jesus lived 30 years in obscurity before a single miracle. And yet we panic when no one claps for us, when no one notices our work. But chosen ones aren't called to be noticed first. They're called to be prepared. Because God is not interested in raising up people who are merely impressive. He raises up people who are impactful. So if you feel like you're grinding in silence, like your gifts are hidden, your effort unseen, don't lose heart. Your obscurity is not your ending. It's your training ground. The crowd will come, but they come after the calling, after the crushing, after the molding. Don't chase the stage. Embrace the silence. That's where chosen children are made. And when the time is right, the same crowd that never saw your struggle will witness your rise. And they'll say, "Where did you come from?" And you'll smile, because only you and God will know what it costs to stand there. Have you ever noticed how the moment you start moving towards something meaningful, all seems to break loose? That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Resistance is the mark of a mission. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people who pose no threat. But the moment you start stepping into purpose, the moment you begin to wake up to who you really are, the attacks come, the warfare increases, and the pressure intensifies. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. Let me speak directly to the ones who feel like everything has come against them the moment they tried to rise. You thought stepping into purpose would bring peace, and instead, it brought problem. You thought saying yes to the call would make things clearer, and instead everything got confusing. But that's how it works with chosen children. Your battles are not proof that you're off track. They're proof that you're on the front line. The fight found you because the enemy knows what's inside you. You are not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're loaded. You carry answers. You carry fire. You carry freedom that's not just for you, but for others who are connected to your obedience. And when you carry that kind of weight, opposition is inevitable. Resistance shows up in people's sudden betrayals, unexpected criticism. It shows up in your thoughts, doubt, fear, insecurity. It shows up in your atmosphere doors that won't open, moments that feel delayed. But I need you to understand this. The presence of pressure is not the absence of power. In fact, pressure reveals power. Diamonds are made under it. Warriors are forged in it. Chosen children don't collapse under pressure, they grow through it. That resistance is your training. It's preparing your hands to war, your mind to endure, and your heart to stay humble. Because where you're going, you can't afford to be fragile. Where you're headed, you'll need endurance more than applause. So God allows resistance to build your roots deeper before your influence grows higher. The next time you feel like giving up because it's too heavy, too hard, Too intense, remember this. Every giant in your way is confirmation that you're walking into territory that belongs to you. Every storm you face is a setup for a testimony you'll tell later. And every battle you're fighting right now is proof that something massive is on the other side of your obedience. So don't back down. Don't tap out. Don't believe the lie that you're failing because you're struggling. Struggle is the soil where strength grows. And chosen children are born to fight through what others would flee from. That resistance is heaven's way of saying, there's more in you than you think. Keep going because what's on the other side of your resistance is the reason you were born. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, why me? Not in self-pity, but in wonder. Why did life hit so hard? Why does the journey feel heavier than it looks on everyone else? Here's what they don't say out loud. Being chosen doesn't mean being perfect. It means being positioned. That's the part they skip. We see the highlight reels of the calls, but we don't see the behind-the-scenes battles. We assume the chosen ones were always strong, always certain, always confident. But the truth? Most of them were broken before they were built. Let this shake your soul. God doesn't call the flawless, He calls the available, the willing, the ones who say, I don't have it all together, but I'll go anyway. That's who He picks. The world looks for perfect record. God looks for open hearts. If you've ever felt like you're not qualified, not good enough, not holy enough, that might be the very proof that you're exactly who you want. Because chosen children aren't defined by their are-some. They're defined by their response. Moses had a speech problem. David had a past. Elijah battled depression. Peter denied Jesus. Yet every one of them carried greatness inside of them, not because they were perfect, but because they didn't quit. They fell, but they got back up. They doubted, but they still obeyed. That's what God looks for, a yes even when it's shaky. Faith even when it's scared. Progress even when it's messy. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be willing. Willing to say yes to the uncomfortable. Willing to walk when you don't see the full path. Willing to be stretched, refined, and remade. Because being chosen doesn't mean you're better, it means you've been assigned. And assignments come with weight. You'll carry things others don't understand. You'll walk through fire, not because you deserve pain, but because your character has to match your calling. And listen, the pressure isn't proof that you're unworthy. It's proof that you're trusted. God doesn't position just anyone for breakthrough. He positions the broken, the bold, the brave, those who know they're nothing without Him. So if you feel like your flaws disqualify you, I came to tell you the truth. Your flaws make space for His glory. Your weakness is the doorway for His power to flow through you. That's what sets chosen children apart. Not perfection positioning. He's not asking you to be flawless. He's asking you to be faithful, to show up, to stand firm, to keep going. Because your past can't cancel what heaven already wrote. You've been chosen not because you're ready, but because you're reachable. And that's all God needs to make history through your life. Have you ever wondered why the enemy hits you hardest after you say yes to God? Why your life gets more complicated the moment you decide to walk in purpose? It's because when you're chosen, you're dangerous, and the enemy knows it. But here's what they don't tell you about chosen children. What you carry is rare, and rare things aren't treated casually. The process feels like pressure, the road feels long, and the cost feels unfair, but it's all because heaven has placed something weighty on your life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like God keeps asking you to let go of things others get to keep? Like the standards on your life are higher, the battle's more intense, the margin for error smaller? That's not rejection. That's refinement. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Positioned for something that can't be built on shortcuts and shallow route. God takes his time with chosen children because what he's building in them isn't temporary, it's generational. And let's be real, being chosen will make you question everything. It'll make you wonder why you feel out of place in rooms you once belonged to. Why you can't settle for average, can't fake the smile, can't dim the fire anymore. You've been set apart, and that separation is often painful. But don't run from it. Embrace it. Because the very thing that makes you feel different is the same thing that makes you dangerous to darkness. You see, people will see your glory, but they won't know your story. They'll admire the anointing, but not understand the agony behind it. They'll say you're blessed, but won't see the battles you fought just to stand. But God does. He saw you in the quiet nights when you almost gave up. He saw you fighting to hold on to your identity while everything around you tried to strip it away. And still he chose you. Let that sink in. Still, he chose you. Not because you're the most talented, the most polished, or the most liked. He chose you because you said yes when it didn't make sense. Because you were willing to be broken and built again. Because even when you doubted yourself, you didn't doubt him. That's what makes you chosen, not the applause of men, but the assignment of heaven. So, if it feels like life is stretching you beyond your limit, that's because it is. But that's where chosen children are forged, not in comfort, but in the fire. And when the fire passes, you'll rise with a strength that wasn't taught, a wisdom that wasn't earned, and a story that sets captives free. What you carry is rare, and rare doesn't break, it leads. So keep walking. Keep believing. You've been chosen for a reason the world may never fully understand, but heaven does. And that's enough. So hear me now. If you've been walking through fire, fighting silent battles, carrying weight no one sees, you're not crazy. You're chosen. You're not overlooked. You're being overprepared. You're not behind. You're being built. Everything that tried to break you, every moment you felt alone, every time you wanted to quit, it was shaping something eternal inside you. Chosen children aren't made on stages. They're forged in secret. They rise from places of pain, but they carry power. They speak from wounds, but they walk with wisdom. And when they step into their moment, when heaven says now, no force of hell can stop them. So, don't be ashamed of your struggle. Don't despise the process. Stand tall in it. Lean into it. Because the same God who allowed the breaking will finish the becoming. You are not just surviving this season. You are becoming a weapon in it. And when the world finally sees what's been growing in the dark, they won't recognize you. But heaven will say, well done, my child. You were chosen and you carried it well. Keep going. You're not done. You're just getting started.